Hello, my name is David Scher, and I'd like to welcome you all to Physics 572, Introduction to Health Physics. Excited to be teaching this class this semester, and I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you. I'd like to start off by describing what health physics is and what we'll be talking about this semester, uh, and then go over some of the preliminary material and mechanics for the course. So, health physics is sort of an ambiguous term for a very simple thing. Uh, Health physics, it's said that the term health physics was coined during the Manhattan Project when they were working on developing nuclear weapons uh, during World War II, and everything was the height of secrecy. So they developed the term health physics uh, to mean the people who were using physical principles to manage worker safety, to make sure that the people working on the project were kept safe. They chose this term. There were many ways they could have described it, but they chose this term to obscure what they were working on. So people didn't know they were working with radiation. And you know what? The term health physics is still obscure, and people don't know what we do. So health physics is the profession that deals with protecting people and the environment from the adverse effects of radiation. In other words, health physics is an arcane way of saying radiation safety. So we as health physicists work to keep people and the environment safe. And that's what this course is going to be about. We're going to study some background information in physics and biology about radiation and its effects, how it interacts with the world, and what consequences it has for people and other living beings. And I'm going to talk about how we assess the hazard, what techniques we use to measure and evaluate the risks, and then techniques that we use to minimize risks. And so that's what the course is about. Um, I like to say that, very few people I want to be a health physicist when I grow up. There's a lot of little kids who want to be a policeman or a fireman or maybe even a banker. But very few kids say, I want to be a health physicist when I grow up. And so most of us have some story about how we came to health physics, how we became aware of it, how we chose it as our career. And in work, which I'll mention a little bit, I'd encourage you to share that story. How is it you got to know what health physics is? Now, there are a few people whose are children of health physicists who are themselves health physicists. That's a nice story in and of itself as well. You introduce yourself. Um, so the profession of health physics is adjacent to some other professions. That is, it shares some in the normal industrial environment. There's a profession called industrial hygiene, and industrial hygienists work with all kinds of hazards, chemical hazards, heat stress, noise, etc. And they introduce precautions and engineering controls to minimize those hazards. In fact, some industrial hygienists work with radiation hazards as well. Uh, that's one of the disciplines that's adjacent to health physics. It's similar to health physics, that shares some background and concerns with health physics. Other areas, there are radiochemists who use chemical techniques to assess radioactive materials. That's adjacent to health physics. In the hospital environment, there are medical physicists who work with the physicians to use radiation to diagnose diseases. They work on the clinical side in ways for advanced diagnosis or therapy, while we health physicists may work in the clinic to keep patients and workers safe. So they're similar, overlapping disciplines, but somewhat distinct. So I just want to begin an introduction to health physics by introducing what health physics is. Now let's talk a little bit about this course and about the way it's structured and organized. Start by sharing my screen. So when you log into Illinois Tech, you come to this page. And there are many resources on this page. One is Blackboard. Blackboard is the learning management system that we use at Illinois Tech. We have a site for our course, Introduction to Health Physics, where we're going to exchange information. So on the links for the syllabus, right now you'll find the syllabus and the schedule for the course. There's a link for content. This is where I will present lecture notes, slides, handouts I have for you. And where you'll respond to them. There's a discussion board. As I said, I would like you to introduce yourselves. It looks like several people already have. So I might be a little bit late in asking you to talk about how you came to health physics, but this is, I'm glad that you've already started to introduce yourselves. It's very important, I think, in this profession that we develop good working relationships. Most of what we do as a team. Very few Lone Ranger health physicists. So it's good to begin to develop a network, of a professional network now, and develop the habit of working in teams, etc. Then there's Collaborate Ultra link. The Panopto link will have these videos. So that's where you found this video in this case. So let's talk a little bit about the syllabus. So this course is intended to introduce you to health physics. So we're going to talk about the scientific basis for radiation safety, talk about the physical quantities, variables we use to assess radiation hazards, and then we'll talk a little how we assess how we mitigate those hazards. So these are the contents we're going to talk about. Basic science is radiation physics and radiation biology. That's basic principles of how radiation affects the world. Then we'll talk about the quantities and standards that we use, what radiation dose is, what radiation exposure is, what internal dose is, etc. How we go about protecting people, what are the basic principles for radiation protection, and what rules have been set up by the government to ensure that we keep people safe. And the third is the assessment techniques and the techniques we use to mitigate radiation hazards. And then we'll have units dealing with radiation as a profession. What kinds of employment are available? I mentioned medical physics and medical health physics. That's one such discipline. A lot of health physicists work in power generation, nuclear power plants. Others work for in the Department of Energy on defense and other issues. We'll have a little discussion of radiation in outer space and how we protect astronauts and those who might spend an extended period of time in space. And then we'll have a section on professional development, things that are important for your career advancement in health physics, how the health physics is structured as a profession. courses set up to service new students, but also to provide opportunities for working professionals. It's almost all courses, except for a 1 week laboratory session, is available remotely through the internet so that people can, wherever they're working, can take part. That makes it difficult to have set lecture times. And so I'm presenting this information to you in recordings asynchronously without the opportunity to meet together in a single classroom. I think it's very important that we do have some kind of interaction. So I encourage you to work with each other, to get to know each other, to use a discussion board, to reach out to me, to ask me questions and clarify issues. They're very important. If you do send me an email, it's helpful to me if you include Physics 572 in the subject line, because then I will pay attention to answer that promptly and get back to you soon. I get many emails from all kinds of administrative people who aren't as important as you are, in my mind. To encourage you to work, together on homework problems and work as a group to understand the material more closely. The homework problems are designed to be exercise, to rehearse, to practice your mental muscles that you're developing. And so working together is a great idea for that. You do have to write up your own assignment. You need to understand it at the end. You need to write it up on your own at the end. You just have multiple people submit the same information, same sheet. Tests, however, are not going to be. So they're your opportunity to show what you know, what you've learned, and what you recall. So I believe that everything you need to be successful will be presented on Blackboard in the videos, the video notes and slides, the handouts that I provide. Those should be enough. However, some people might find presenting this information in a different way from a different perspective could be useful. And so I recommend a particular book. There are many books that are equally good, but I think that Michael Staben's Radiation Protection and Introduction to Endosymmetry and Introduction to Health is a good book, and it will it follows the pattern of the arrangement that I have for this class, so you'll find it to be useful. You can buy that book, but it's available to us through the library in electronic form. So if we go back to the login site, the Illinois Tech Access, there's a link to the library. If I follow the link to the library, it remembers who I am. And so if I put in the search the title of the book and click return, it shows me that it's available as an ebook. So if I click, it's me, see it online in Springer Verilog. If I follow the link there, it tells me I can download a PDF of the book. So you can have access to this book from Illinois Tech. I went to school at Virginia Tech as well, but from Illinois Tech, you have access to the book. And if you find it useful, I encourage you to follow along with Dr. Staben's way of describing things as well. It's available to you. I wanted to show you where that was. So basic structure, we have a schedule that's available on Blackboard as well for the times I expect to be presenting the information. I expect to present fairly short videos, not a 3-hour lecture in one recording. I expect to have relatively short videos where I break up the material so it's easier to digest, easier to manage. If you'd like to view several of them at a time, that's your prerogative. But I think that it might be easier to absorb if we limit the length of each individual one. Okay, so it's the same topics that I've described before. Then we got the time. Blackboard, as I said. Classroom, describe the schedule, the meetings, time, work assignments. I'm going to try to give you homework every week, as I said before. It's going to be your chance to practice the material that we've talked about in class. Is not intended to be have you figuring out new information necessarily, maybe applying the information in a new way, but everything you need to do the homework should have been presented in the lecture. If not, let me know, and I will recognize my own failure in that case. Homework assignments might be quizzes, might be fill in the blank, might be short answer, it might be some brief calculations you need to do. We're going to have examinations, 3 of them, one after each section, one after the basic science, one after the quantities and standards, and after the applications and professional development. That the homework assignments and quizzes or exams that are done in Banner, you simply answer the questions there. Banner, excuse me. Blackboard has a quizzing module. If I give you some questions there, answer them there. If it's a computational type problem or a longer description, and it's done on a separate piece of paper, it's preferred to send it to me typewritten. For a lot of computations, that's hard to do, or if you have a lot of diagrams to draw, you might need to handwrite something and submit it as an image and turned into a PDF. That's available. That's possible too. If you have any trouble with Blackboard, getting it downloaded, you can send it to my email address. It's my email. Or please put Physics 572 in the subject so that I can know that it's for this class. Excuse me. So the way you're going to earn your grades, the homework that we're doing throughout the semester will constitute 40%. Each exam will be 20% of the grade. And here are the numerical grading. Here are some more housekeeping things for Illinois Tech. There will be a course evaluation later in the semester. The Illinois Tech will send you a link or an email describing the course process, and you'll be able to do it through Blackboard. Please give me the feedback so that I know what I can do better, what I need to improve. Some academic policies here, you should read those over. And there are services that are available to you on campus that go beyond what I can provide. Even if you're a distant student, these services are still available to you virtually. You should take advantage. Appreciate your time and your attention in this video. We should be getting together again, or you should be seeing another video soon, where we get into the meat of the course, where we start talking about radiation physics. Encourage you to prepare for that. I appreciate you having me. I would like you to introduce yourself in the discussion board so we can get to know each other. And I think we're going to have a great semester.